All right. It says I'm live. I thought I'd do uh, a lot of my friends know that I can do this, and I don't think I do bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. So I thought I'd do a number of different accents. Obviously, right now I'm starting off in Scotland. I think it's Glasgow. I'm not sure. I've never been outside of Canada and the US. Well, I've been to Cuba and I've been to Panama, but besides that, I haven't even been overseas. So we got Scotland. That's was my maternal grandfather. Was from Glasgow, so I never met him. He actually died before I was born, but maybe it's genetic. I don't know, but there you go. That's my Scottish. I don't even know if it's great or if it's half bad. What do you think? And then, of course, if you go on my mother's side of the family, her father, or rather her it's my mother's side of the family. Her mother was an O'Malley. We were Irish, so I got a bit of Irish ancestry too. So I think this is Dublin. I'm actually not sure because again I've never been to Ireland, but I picked this accent up. I was in a pub. Imagine that. I was having a pint of Guinness or something, and there was a chap there, and I think he was from Dublin, and he was talking about how he could get wee hard ends for a tanner. Wee hard ends, or when you go to a fish and chip showing, you can get the ends of the fish. They fry them up, and then they call them wee hard ends. And after listening to him talk, I was able to finally get around an Irish accent. So again, I don't think it's great, and you see a little bit of Scotland comes in there too. But there are two countries right beside each other. So that's me Irish. Next one is actually is one of my favorite accents to do. Is fun. Is Russian or the Eastern European. Could be I don't know. It could be Polish. Could be Slovak. I'm not sure, but I try. I know that in the Russian language is they have different alphabet and it's customary to pronounce every letter when they are going somewhere. They will pronounce at the end of words. So instead of going like normal Canadian American might say, is going pronounce each and every letter in every word. Not great, but I think is not bad. I think I could do this, go into store and talk and say talk like this, and people would think I was Russian maybe. What else? Now I grew up in New York. Grew up. We lived in New York City until I was 3 years old. Live in Staten Island. I don't know if you know where that is. It's one of the boroughs, and from there we moved to New Jersey. So I learned to talk. Up until grade 4, this was probably high octave, but that's the way I talked. I was, kid from Glen Rock, New Jersey, talking. And it's because of that, when Donald Trump got elected president, well, Donald Trump is really easy to do. All he needs is a MAGA hat with some blonde hair. I don't have any, but I think I do the best Donald Trump impression of anybody. Okay, I'm the best. No one's better. Been doing it for the last 4 or 5 years. I think I'm better than Alec Baldwin. Maybe you decide. What else? Southern U.S. I've been down south. I've been to Florida. I've been to Florida is pretty much it. I haven't been all over the southern U.S. I stopped in Georgia. Stopped at the airport in Atlanta one time. I know the southern accents, they kind of go all over. You got Texas, you got Louisiana. So, it's my southern accent. I was in a play once. I was in Cat in a Hot Tin Roof. I played Gooper. The character's name was Brother Man or Gooper. And I'm sure part of the reason I got the part was because I could do a halfway decent southern accent. And so that's my southern accent. And then I thought I'd throw in Italian. I used to live in New York, so you have the Italians, and they talk a little different. I know they're different. You have the northern Italy, you have the southern Italy, but I like the Italian accent. It's kind of cool. And anyway, I know many a joke I tell. I like to tell a joke with an Italian accent. It's always good about Mr. Vincente, who has the big red juicy tomatoes, and he has a neighbor, Linda. Beautiful young girl. And she asked Mr. Vincente, she goes, your tomatoes are so so red, so juicy red. Mine are green, they don't red up. What do you do, Mr. Vincente? He said, I have this trick. I take off all of my clothes. I take a bathrobe. I put on the bathrobe. I go out to my garden and I flash my tomatoes, do a little. They get embarrassed and they turn all red. You try that, Linda. You see how it work for you. So a week or two will go by, and Linda, she see Mr. Vincente. Mr. Vincente say, hey, Linda, you do my trick. You take the bathrobe with no clothes on, go out, do a little dance for your tomatoes. And she goes, yes, I tried it. He says, well, did it work? She says, no, my tomatoes, they're still green, but my cucumbers are doing amazing. So that's my Italian accent. Now, England, love England. Problem with my English accent is England, you've got everything. You've got the northern broad accent. You've got the Liverpudlians, the Scousers, who go up at the end of every sentence, like the Beatles, John, Paul, George, and Ringo. You have to go up. So annoying. I don't really like the Scouse accent. Liverpool, kind of annoying. It's kind of sing-song in a way, but it almost put you to sleep, the way they talk. And then you've got the broad and more Manchester, where they talk to Brummies, Birmingham, where they're much more broad. Problem with me when I do a British accent is I go all over the place. I'll start in the north and I'll go down south and I'll go to Liverpool for a bit. So it's a bit all over the place. It helps when I'm around someone who's from England. I can tend to mimic it a bit, but then I always go off course. The simplest way to do it is to just simply do BBC style accent and try and pronounce everything properly in the Queen's English. What else? French. Je parle français. Français, c'est ma deuxième langue. But the thing is, I learned my French in Quebec. And the Quebecer in Canada, they have this way of talking that is very different than the way that the French people from France will talk. So a Quebecer, they say that and there and how you doing, and that's the Quebecois. That's the way the Quebecer speaks English. But if you go to the French from France, they speak much different. It's much softer. It's nicer. It's it's instead of I went to the store. They say I went to the store. It's a much like the French accent from La France. C'est tellement cool, so cool. And we'll end off on the east coast of Canada. We've been doing so many. Newfoundland, Lord Tundra. There we go. I got to tell you, I went to Newfoundland. I finally, I guess it was 2-3 years ago, I went to Newfoundland. I went to Rocky Harbor, and then I went to a place called St. John's. Not St. John, that's in New Brunswick. A lot of people mix them up. St. John's is in Newfoundland. And the thing that I learned when you go to Newfoundland, people, when they tell you you have to do something, they never say you have to do something. They don't say you got to do something. You got to. That's something you got to learn. When you go to Newfoundland, they tell you, oh, you're going to St. John's. Well, when you goes to St. John's, you got to get some Chess's fish and chips, because that's the best one in the whole on the whole rock. Because that's what Newfoundland is. It's a rock, and that's what they call it. So I think I covered all the accents I can do. I can do a couple more, but they're politically incorrect, so I don't bother. Anyway, my little hidden talent on a Friday evening. And the only people who will watch this are those who are incredibly bored. But if you were incredibly bored and watched, give me a comment. Tell me, how do you think I did? Which accent did you like the best? My favorite is Russian, is best accent. I learned joke. Is a good joke. Is during Soviet Union. It's Dmitry and Ivan were in line to buy vodka. And Dmitry is all upset. He's been waiting 2 hours to buy vodka. And he says, it's no good. This is during the time of Gorbachev, when he brought in perestroika and glasnost, openness. But it was not working. And Dmitry said, I've had it. We were waiting 2 hours to buy one bottle of vodka. I've had it. I'm going to kill Gorbachev. Hold my spot in line. He leaves. He comes back an hour later. And Ivan says, so, Dmitry, you killed Gorbachev? Dmitry says, Niet. line up to kill Gorbachev longer than line up for vodka. Anyway, that is my accents. I do more than one. Anyway, have a great Saturday night. Nice to talk about something other than COVID for a change. Night all.